on the shining world of Valara 9, where the sky glowed with silver light and the oceans reflected the stars, there lived a young princess named Linara Velis. She was loved by her people for her kindness, her soft voice, and her gentle heart. But there was one truth that made her life full of sorrow. Princess Linara could not walk. Since the day she was born, her legs had never moved. The royal healers said her nerves were dead, a rare defect that not even their advanced medicine could repair. They tried everything, healing rays, neural regrowth, even divine rituals, but nothing worked. As the years passed, hope faded like dust in the wind. At the age of 15, Linara sat on her throne in a wheelchair of gold and crystal. Her smile was beautiful but empty, like a candle burning in a storm. Every morning she watched the sun rise from her palace window, whispering softly, "Maybe one day." But deep down she knew that day might never come. The palace was always full of laughter, music, and dancing. On feast days, nobles filled the grand halls and spun around in beautiful gowns. Linara would watch from her floating chair, clapping politely, pretending not to care. Yet when the music ended, she would look down at her still legs, her fingers trembling on her lap. Outside the palace, stories about her spread among the people. Some called her the Silver Flower, beautiful, fragile, untouchable. Others said she was a blessing from the stars, proof that even royal blood could carry pain. But Linara did not want to be a symbol. She wanted to be free. She wanted to run, to dance, to walk through the gardens without the hum of a hoverchair beneath her. Her father, King Valen, loved her deeply, but even he could not hide his sorrow. "My dear daughter," he would say, holding her small hands, "if I could trade my crown for your legs, I would." And she would smile softly, replying, "I don't want your crown, father. I just want to feel the ground beneath my feet." 15 years passed like that, years of false hope and empty promises. Then, one morning, something changed. The royal port announced the arrival of a human trade ship from the Terran Alliance. It was the first human ship to visit Valara in decades. The humans brought strange machines, metallic tools, and ideas that fascinated the scientists of the kingdom. They spoke of their world, Earth, a place where technology grew from curiosity, where even ordinary people created wonders. The palace prepared a grand welcome feast for the human guests. Linara, curious as always, requested to attend. Her father hesitated, worried she might be uncomfortable, but she insisted. That night, the royal hall shone brighter than ever. The humans wore simple uniforms, not the glittering robes of the Velarans. Yet their eyes carried something different: determination, a quiet confidence that made Linara feel strangely drawn to them. Among them was a man named Elias Cole, a mechanical engineer. He was not handsome like the princes Linara met before, but there was something warm in his smile, something alive in his eyes. He did not stare at her chair like most visitors did. He did not pity her. When he was introduced, he simply bowed and said, "It's an honor, Your Highness." Linara nodded politely, expecting the same awkward silence that usually followed. But instead he asked a question that startled her. "Do you ever wish to walk again?" The hall went quiet. The courtiers glanced at each other in discomfort, and the king frowned slightly. But Linara did not feel insulted. Instead, she felt her heart beat faster. She smiled sadly. "Every day," she said softly. "But wishes are not enough." Elias tilted his head, his eyes thoughtful. "Then maybe it's time someone builds your wish." Those words echoed in her heart like a spark in the dark. For years, no one had dared to speak with such simple faith. When the feast ended and the guests departed, Linara couldn't sleep. She kept hearing that sentence again and again. Maybe it's time someone builds your wish. For the first time in 15 years, she felt something stir inside her, something she thought she had lost forever: hope. And she had no idea that this one human, with his grease-stained hands and fearless heart, was about to change her life forever. After the feast, Princess Linara could not stop thinking about the human who had spoken those words. His name was Elias Cole, and he was unlike anyone she had ever met. He was not a royal scientist or a noble with polished manners. He was just a man from a distant world, carrying tools and ideas in his hands, with a quiet confidence that made impossible things seem possible. The next morning, she asked her father if she could meet Elias again. The king hesitated. "He is a guest, my daughter. Do not trouble him. But Linara's eyes, filled with determination, convinced him. She wanted to see this human, not as a visitor, but as someone who might understand her. In the workshop, Elias was hunched over a strange machine, wires spilling over the table and tiny metal parts scattered like stars across the floor. When he looked up and saw Linara, he gave a small smile. "Princess," he said, bowing slightly. "I did not expect to see you again." "I couldn't sleep," Linara admitted softly. "Your words, they stayed with me." Elias nodded. "Words are small, but sometimes they carry sparks. Sparks that can light the fire of change." For the first time in years, Linara felt a spark inside her. She wanted to believe him. Over the next few weeks, Linara visited Elias every day. She would sit on a small stool in the corner, watching as he worked tirelessly, bending metal, assembling motors, and connecting circuits that shimmered with a strange energy. To her, it looked like magic. But to Elias, it was simple science, a way to solve a problem no one else dared to try. "What are you building?" she asked one day, leaning closer. Elias wiped the grease from his hands. "Legs. Not just any legs, legs that can think like your body, feel like your nerves, and move as if they were yours. I call it Project Aura." Linara's eyes widened. "Legs, for me?" He nodded. "Yes, I believe every person should walk if they want to. You should feel the ground beneath you, the sun on your toes, the wind lifting you. You should dance even if no one expects it." Tears filled her eyes. "No one has ever said that to me. No one has ever believed that for me." Elias smiled softly, almost shyly. "Then I will believe for you." As days passed, the bond between them grew. They spoke of planets, of stars, of Earth and Valara, of dreams and fears. Linara shared stories of her childhood, of the games she could not play, of the dances she could not join. Elias shared stories of Earth, of humans who built impossible machines and conquered impossible odds. But not everyone in the palace was happy. The Valaran scientists whispered among themselves.
"This human does not understand our biology," one said.
"He is reckless. He could harm the princess." The Council of Elders warned her father. "She is royalty. Human interference could bring disgrace." "Stop him, Your Majesty." King Valen felt torn. He wanted his daughter to be happy, but he also feared breaking tradition. Yet when he saw Linara's eyes, filled with hope for the first time in 15 years, he could not say no. Elias worked late into the nights, and Linara stayed by his side, watching every joint, every servo, every neural interface he carefully installed into the robotic legs. Slowly, the legs began to take shape, slender but strong, shining silver with blue veins that seemed alive. One evening, Linara touched the frame gently. "Will they really work?" she asked, her voice trembling. Elias looked at her, holding her hands firmly. "I don't know if they will," he admitted. "But I do know this. You are stronger than any machine. If anyone can use these legs, it is you." For the first time, Linara believed it. She believed in the human, in his determination, in the impossible. And as the stars of Valara 9 shimmered outside the workshop, a tiny hope grew in her chest. Perhaps, just perhaps, she could walk again. The first spark of a dream had been lit, and nothing would be the same again. Days turned into weeks, and Project Aura began to take shape. The robotic legs glimmered under the workshop lights, each joint moving with delicate precision. To anyone else, they looked like cold, lifeless machines, but to Elias and Linara, they were the promise of freedom. Linara visited the workshop every morning, her curiosity and excitement growing with each passing day. She watched Elias attach sensors, fit flexible metal tendons, and connect shimmering neural interfaces that pulsed like veins of light. He explained every detail to her patiently, as though she were not just a princess in a wheelchair, but a partner in this dream. "Will it hurt?" she asked one evening, her voice trembling. "Maybe," Elias admitted honestly. "Your nerves haven't moved in 15 years. Awakening them will be intense, but I will be right here with you." "You won't be alone." Her heart clenched. No one had ever said such words. Not her doctors, not her tutors, not even her father. But this human with grease-stained hands and earnest eyes believed in her. And for the first time in 15 years, Linara felt a flicker of courage. However, not everyone was happy about Elias's work. The Valaran Council of Elders had begun to notice the unusual activity in the workshop. Whispers grew into warnings, and warnings became threats. "You cannot alter royal blood with human machines," one elder demanded during a council meeting. "This is an insult to our tradition." The princess is sacred. Stop this experiment at once. King Valen, torn between duty and love for his daughter, tried to calm the elders. The human has not harmed her. She has asked for this. She has the right to try, but the council would not relent. They sent guards to monitor the workshop and forbade anyone from assisting Elias further. When Linara heard this, her heart sank. She had come to trust Elias completely. She had imagined feeling the floor beneath her feet, even for just a few steps, and now it seemed all her hopes would vanish again. That night she visited Elias in the workshop. He was hunched over the partially assembled legs, his hands shaking slightly from exhaustion and worry. "They want me to stop," he said quietly, not looking up. "They think I'm reckless, that I could harm you." Linara reached for his hand. "And what do you think?" "I think I can do this. I have to do this," he whispered. "You deserve a chance to walk, and I can't let fear stop me." Her eyes filled with tears. "Then I won't let them stop you either," she said firmly. "If you fall, I will fall with you. We do this together." Elias finally looked up, his eyes meeting hers. In that moment, a silent promise passed between them. No matter the risk, no matter the council, no one would take away this chance. Together, they worked in secret late into the nights, testing tiny movements, adjusting sensors, and perfecting balance mechanisms. Slowly, the robotic legs began to respond to her thoughts, small twitches and flexes of metal muscles mimicking the movements of her mind. One evening, Linara tried a tiny lift of her leg. The metal trembled but held. She gasped. "I moved it. Elias, I moved it." He smiled, exhausted but full of pride. "Yes, you did." "That is the first step toward walking, Your Highness." For the first time, Linara felt something she had not felt in 15 years, hope turning into reality. As she watched the stars outside the workshop, a tiny thrill ran through her chest. The impossible was no longer impossible. With this human by her side, she could imagine walking, running, even dancing again. But she knew the council would not forgive this act easily. The path ahead was uncertain, dangerous, and full of judgment. Yet the spark inside her had been lit, and nothing, not tradition, not fear, not pain, could snuff it out now. For the first time, the princess allowed herself to dream freely, and that dream had legs. The morning after their small victory, the palace erupted in chaos. The Velaran Council of Elders had discovered Elias working in secret. Their voices thundered through the marble halls like storms, demanding that the human be stopped immediately. "You dare alter the body of a princess?" one elder shouted, pointing a shaking finger at Elias. "Do you not understand the laws of Valara? Royal blood is sacred. You will destroy her life and your own if you continue." Linara's heart pounded in her chest. She had expected resistance, but not such fury. Her father stepped forward, trying to reason, but the council would not listen. Their words were like hammers striking cold metal, each one heavier than the last. "Leave the princess alone," King Valen pleaded. "She has asked for this. She has the right to try." "No," the elders cried. "This is blasphemy. Human technology cannot touch royal flesh. You must stop this immediately or face the consequences." Elias stood quietly, his hands at his sides, his expression calm but determined. Linara noticed the faint tremble in his jaw, the way his fingers clenched into fists. He had faced opposition before, but never like this. Never against the laws of an entire world. The council demanded that he pack up all his equipment and leave the palace by the next cycle. They warned the king, if he allowed the experiment to continue, the kingdom would be in chaos. Linara felt a wave of panic. She could not lose this chance, not now. When she had felt her legs begin to move, she rolled her wheelchair to Elias, her voice firm but shaking. "You cannot leave," she whispered. "If you go, I will never walk. I will never know what it feels like to stand." "You promised me." Elias turned to her, his eyes softening. "I promised I would help you, and I still will. But if the council catches us, they could take you away. I cannot risk that. I cannot lose you." "Then we will take the risk together," Linara said, her eyes blazing with determination. "If they want to stop me, let them try. I will not let them decide my life for me." Elias stared at her for a long moment. He had seen courage before, yes, but this was different. 15 years of despair had shaped a fire in her heart that even the oldest laws could not douse. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Then we do it tonight. We work in secret. No one can stop us if we are careful. That evening, under the silver glow of Velara Ninda's twin moons, the princess and the human worked quietly in the workshop. The palace was still, the guards distracted by council orders. Every movement was precise, every sound measured. The robotic legs were ready, shimmering like liquid metal. Linara lay on the medical table, her body tense with both fear and hope. Elias adjusted the neural interfaces, his hands steady despite the weight of what they were about to do. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Linara took a deep breath, her chest rising and falling. "I have waited 15 years. I am ready." He smiled faintly, a mixture of worry and encouragement. "Then let's begin." As the machinery hummed and sensors aligned with her nerves, a surge of energy pulsed through her body. Pain flared, sharp, fiery, and terrifying. But she gritted her teeth and held on to Elias's hand. His presence anchored her. "Almost there," he whispered. "You can do this." Minutes stretched like hours, but Linara refused to cry out. She let the energy flow, letting it awaken muscles that had been dormant for a lifetime. She focused on one thought: I will walk. I will stand. I will be free. And in that small, secret moment, something extraordinary happened. Her toes twitched. Her legs moved, just a fraction, but it was enough to show her that the impossible was no longer out of reach. Elias squeezed her hand. "Do you feel that?" he asked, almost in disbelief. "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. I feel it. I can feel it." Outside, the council raged. Inside, a princess dared to defy tradition. And between them, a human reminded her that hope could not be measured by laws or fear. It could only be felt, lived, and embraced. Tonight, the impossible had begun. The night was quiet, save for the soft hum of machines in the hidden workshop. Princess Linara lay on the medical table, her body tense and her heart racing. Her legs, encased in the sleek silver metal of Project Aura, shimmered under the soft light. Elias stood beside her, his hand steady on the controls, his eyes never leaving hers. "This is it," he whispered, his voice calm but full of gravity. "Once we activate the neural link, everything will happen at once. You may feel pain, but it will fade. Trust yourself." Linara took a deep breath, clutching the edge of the table. She had waited 15 long years for this moment, and now it had arrived. "I trust you," she said softly. Elias nodded and pressed a series of buttons. Energy surged through the robotic legs, connecting seamlessly with her dormant nerves. At first it was overwhelming. A strange burning, a shocking tingling coursing up from her feet to her thighs. She gasped and tried to pull away, but Elias held her hand firmly. "Do not fight it," he said gently. "Feel it, let your body remember," her mind screamed. Pain, fear, disbelief. But beneath it all, something else stirred. A tiny spark of movement, a whisper of life that she had not felt in 15 years. Her toes twitched. A small shiver ran up her legs. I can feel it," she whispered, her voice trembling. Elias smiled, tears glistening in his eyes. "That's it. That's you waking up." Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Each pulse of energy brought more sensation. Her muscles remembered motion, her nerves remembered connection. Slowly, ever so slowly, her legs bent, then straightened as if greeting the world after a long sleep. "You're doing it," Elias said, his voice shaking with pride. "You're moving. You're standing." Her breath caught in her throat. She tried to lift one leg. It trembled but obeyed. Then the other. She gasped in wonder, disbelief blending with joy. 15 years of stillness, of longing, of watching the world from a floating chair, all melting away in that one moment. I'm moving," she breathed. I'm moving." Elias chuckled softly, his hands gripping hers. "Not just moving. You're walking. Soon you'll dance." The first step was unsteady. Her metal-clad feet trembled on the workshop floor. She stumbled slightly, but Elias caught her. "Take your time. Trust your legs. Trust yourself." Step by step she began to walk. Her legs, once lifeless, now carried her with strength she had never imagined. Each movement filled her with a rush of freedom, a flood of emotions she could not name. Joy, relief, pride, wonder, it all poured through her. Tears streamed down her face and she laughed. Soft, trembling, beautiful laughter that filled the quiet workshop. "Elias, I can walk. I can really walk." He squeezed her hands, his own eyes shining. Yes, you did it. You never gave up. And neither did I. For the first time in 15 years, Princess Lenara stood fully upright, her head high, her chest full of breath. She took a few steps toward the open window, feeling the cool night air brush against her face. The stars above Valara 9 seemed brighter, more alive, as if the universe itself was celebrating with her. You gave me back my life, she whispered, turning to Elias. No one else, no medicine, no ritual, no technology from Valara could do this. Only you. Elias shook his head gently. No, princess. You gave yourself back your life. I only helped you see that it was possible. Humans, Valarans, it does not matter. Courage and hope, that is what matters. She took his hands, trembling, and looked into his eyes. Then thank you. For believing in me. For never giving up. They stood together in silence, letting the weight of the moment sink in. 15 years of waiting, 15 years of longing, and now freedom. The world felt larger, brighter, and full of possibility. Outside, the palace slept unaware of the miracle happening in the hidden workshop. But inside, a princess had risen. A human had kept his promise, and hope had been restored. Princess Lenara, who had never known the simple joy of standing, now walked with pride and wonder. The first steps were only the beginning, and for the first time she felt truly alive. By dawn, word of the miracle had spread through the palace like wildfire. Princess Lenara, who had spent 15 years confined to a wheelchair, had walked. She had taken her first steps in secret, under the guidance of the human engineer Elias Cole, and now the news reached every corner of Valara 9. The Valaran Council of Elders stormed into the workshop, their robes swirling with authority, eyes wide with shock and anger. This cannot be true, one elder bellowed, pointing at the princess standing tall, her silver robotic legs gleaming in the morning light. You have broken the laws of Valara, princess. You have allowed a human to meddle with your body. Lenara held her ground, her heart racing but her voice steady.
Yes, I allowed it.
And yes, I am walking. Is that so terrible? The elders shook their heads, their mouths opening and closing like fish in disbelief. They could not comprehend the sight before them, a princess walking with strength, grace, and joy. The laws they had cherished for centuries felt hollow in the face of what she had achieved. King Valen stepped forward, his eyes soft but determined. Look at her, he said quietly, but every word carried weight. She is our daughter. She is alive. She is whole. Can any law truly forbid her from living her life? Whispers rippled through the hall. Some nobles were stunned, unsure of what to say. Others looked at the princess with awe, their eyes shining with newfound hope. The people had seen her weakness for years, had felt pity for her, and now they saw strength. Real, undeniable strength. Lenara took a step forward, her metal feet touching the marble floor with confidence. She lifted her head and addressed the council directly. I am the same person I have always been. Nothing has changed in my heart, my mind, or my duty to Valara. But my body can now move freely, and I will not let fear, tradition, or rules stop me from living the life I have been given. For a moment silence fell. The council had no words. They could argue, they could threaten, but the truth was undeniable. She had walked, and walking was not a crime. Elias stood quietly behind her, his hands clasped, his heart swelling with pride. He had never seen courage like this, not from soldiers, not from rulers, but from a young woman who refused to accept her fate. She had not only walked, she had made everyone witness the impossible. Some elders slowly stepped back, muttering in frustration. Others bowed their heads, their faces softening. Even the king's sternest advisors could not deny what they had seen. The princess had changed the kingdom's understanding of possibility in a single night. The citizens who had gathered outside after hearing rumors of the miracle began to cheer. Their voices echoed through the palace walls. The princess walks. The princess walks. Lenara smiled, a radiant, genuine smile that lit the room brighter than any crystal chandelier. She raised her hands to the crowd. Today is not just about me, she called. It is about hope. It is about courage. It is about believing that nothing is impossible if you do not give up. The crowd erupted in cheers, and for the first time in 15 years, Lenara felt the full weight of freedom. She could move, she could stand, she could run if she wanted, and she would. The council, seeing the joy of the people and the strength of their princess, finally relented. Tradition had been challenged, but life had won. The rules were rewritten, not by decree, but by proof. The impossible had walked into reality. Elias stepped forward, and Lenara took his hand. "Thank you," she said simply, tears glistening in her eyes. "For everything," he smiled humbly. "You did it yourself. I only helped." Together they stepped out onto the palace balcony, facing the cheering crowd. The sun rose over Valara 9, painting the sky in gold and silver. And in that moment, every person who witnessed the miracle understood a truth they would never forget. Courage, hope, and the human spirit could overcome even the strictest of laws, and even the heaviest of despair. Princess Lenara, once confined to a wheelchair, now walked as a symbol, not just of Valara, but of the unstoppable power of belief, compassion, and humanity. And the kingdom would never see her the same way again. The palace had never felt so alive. Word of Princess Lenara walking had spread across Valara 9 like a wildfire, reaching every city, village, and floating tower. Citizens gathered in the Grand Plaza, their voices rising in a wave of cheers that echoed through the mountains and valleys of the Silver World. Today was not only a celebration of her movement, it was a celebration of hope itself. Lenara stood on the balcony of the palace, her silver robotic legs gleaming in the sunlight. She looked out over the crowd, her heart swelling with joy, pride, and gratitude. 15 years of longing, 15 years of quiet tears had led to this moment. Every look from the cheering citizens, every whisper of awe, reminded her that courage and belief could indeed change the world. Elias Cole stood quietly beside her, hands folded in front of him, watching the princess with pride. He had never sought fame or recognition. All he wanted was to give her a chance to feel life beneath her feet again. And now, seeing her strong, confident, and radiant, he felt a deep satisfaction that words could never capture. The royal musicians began to play a lively tune, and Lenara felt a thrill she had never known. For years she had watched dancers glide across palace halls and festival stages. She had clapped, smiled, and even imagined herself moving among them. But now it was real. Her legs, strong, agile, alive, were hers to command. She stepped down from the balcony onto the polished marble floor. Each movement was deliberate at first, testing her balance, her strength, her coordination. Then, as the rhythm of the music reached her ears, she let herself move freely, one step then another. Her feet glided, her arms swayed, her body followed the music as if it had always known how to dance. The crowd gasped. Some cried. Many cheered louder than ever. The princess who had never walked was now dancing, twirling with joy, spinning beneath the sunlight, her silver legs catching every glimmer of light. It was a moment so beautiful that even the elders who had once opposed her could not look away. Tradition had been broken, yes, but what stood before them now was undeniable proof of courage, love, and hope. Elias stepped forward, hesitating for a moment. Lenara smiled at him and reached her hand. "Come," she said softly. "Dance with me." He laughed, a quiet, nervous laugh, but took her hand. Together they moved across the marble floor. She led, he followed, their steps perfectly synced, not because of skill but because of trust. Around them, the palace staff, the guards, and even visiting nobles joined in, creating a celebration of life, courage, and unity. As the dance continued, Lenara's mind wandered for a moment. She thought of all the years she had spent watching the world from a wheelchair. She remembered the ache in her legs, the loneliness in her heart, and the longing to feel alive. Now every step she took was a defiance of despair, a victory over hopelessness. The music slowed, the dance winding to a gentle close. Lenara and Elias stood hand in hand, breathing heavily, smiling with the kind of joy that cannot be measured. Around them, the crowd erupted in applause, cheering until their voices were hoarse. Tears rolled down many faces. Tears of relief, tears of admiration, tears of shared joy. Lenara knelt for a moment to feel the marble beneath her legs, savoring the sensation of solid ground under her feet. She stood tall again, looking at Elias with a gratitude that words could never fully express. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me life again, for showing me that even impossible dreams can come true." He shook his head gently. "No, princess. You did this. I only helped you see it was possible. And in that moment, surrounded by a kingdom that had witnessed a miracle, Princess Lenara realized something even more profound. Hope is contagious. Courage is unstoppable, and the human spirit, no matter the planet, no matter the species, can achieve the impossible when belief is stronger than fear. The festival continued long into the night, lights twinkling across the palace gardens, music filling the air, and the princess dancing again and again, each step a reminder that life, when embraced, can shine brighter than any star. Princess Lenara, once confined to a wheelchair for 15 long years, now walked, ran, and danced, and beside her Elias stood as a quiet witness to her triumph, the human who reminded the galaxy that sometimes the smallest spark of belief can change the world. Valara 9 would never forget that day, and neither would she.